didn't cry, then you are, I don't believe you're a human. You actually might just be an artificial intelligence. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Royal Blood. I don't think he's an artificial intelligence, but we'll have to see. We'll see if we're proven wrong here. For Matcherino Esports, it's Future. Opponent in the lower left-hand corner definitely cried when he won I Am Katowice and caused all of us to cry. It is soO, our red Zerg player. This is kind of exciting. So Future just got to Korea, getting settled. I really think it's only been a couple of days. Starting to get into the Korean StarCraft world over there. soO obviously had some excellent results before leaving to do his military service. Came back, and we haven't seen anything super big from him since he's been back playing StarCraft. I don't think he's been pushing quite so hard. Some may say he's retired, but we just don't see quite as much of soO. And Future actually took a step back for the last year or two to study, and at one point was, you know, the best American Terran. We've seen him play some very solid games today, but really interested to see how he does going up against soO. I don't really know what to expect from this match, which is what makes it exciting. Sometimes the expectation can be too strong. You're like, oh, I know exactly what build these guys are opening with in this matchup. Like, yeah, well, it gets boring after a while, you know? Nobody likes boring StarCraft. I'm stoked to see Future joining Matcherino. Matcherino's new team, going out to Korea. I hope we see the resurgence of Future. There was like a period of time where it looked like he was really going to push and be a very strong Terran contender, and it felt like almost at his peak he backed away to go study. Imagine studying instead of playing StarCraft. Couldn't be me. Actually, it was me, but I wasn't ever as good as Future. I pulled back from StarCraft when I was in Gold League. I was almost at the top. You know, people knew my name, they respected my name, but I decided to go study theater instead. So, you know, I can relate to Future in a way. I did play Terran at the time. We did see Future earlier up against Demi. That was a very interesting match. I feel like Future played a little bit weirdly. Like, it didn't feel like fully standard Terran stuff. And it's kind of cool to see that because, I don't know, man. Terrans are usually like, this is my build order. This is my build. I do it like this, and I always do it the same. And it's nice to see a Terran who's like, nah, just throw something else out there. I'm just gonna put my buildings over here. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And you're like, meh, well, whatever. There's normal places for your buildings. Future's like, meh, whatever. Now here we go, spicing it up again, going mech. That's 3 factories, 3 command centers. It's actually battle mech. Yeah, Magfield Accelerator starting up. It's a second tech lab for more Cyclones. These Cyclones and Hellions coming out of Future, and I think that's a great way to play against soO. I feel like this is a really good choice here for Future, and not something we see a ton of, but it is still a very strong playstyle. I think battle mech is really strong when it's rare. I think that's what I've noticed. Like, when everybody was doing it, all of a sudden there were like 100 weaknesses, and oh my god, is he gonna save this Reaper? What? Man, those Hellions, big brother Hellions. When everybody was doing battle mech, all the Zergs figured out exactly how to play against it, and it really wasn't that much of an issue. It felt a lot weaker at that point. But now that, like, you can mix it in every now and then, it feels like the Zerg has to dig through their memory banks and make sure they're on the right path. And a lot of times, if you're countering a play style, you want to start as early as possible. And if everybody's doing something, if it's in the meta, you can just blind counter it. It usually works out for you. Here, though, soO, maybe he's realized this is what's happening. Certainly hasn't seen any Marines, but he also hasn't seen any Cyclones. So just now, he gets the confirmation that there's something else here. This is not just your normal bio play following up the Hellions. There are Banes on the way. There's Lings and Queens. But Bane speed's a long way off from being done here, so Future should be able to kite against Banelings for basically ever. Transfuse is going to go down. Really nice pullbacks here from soO. Obviously, heavy Queen, usually pretty good against just about everything. But eventually, these Queens will run out of Transfuses, and the Cyclone Micro from Future has been excellent so far. Future's actually up in supply right now. The worker count is basically even between them. 3 base to 3 as soO's 4th base, and only halfway done. Future's looking fantastic right now. I mean, this is an excellent opening. Hydra Den on the way, but oh, this is where it can all go wrong, though. Blue Flame is done, so these Hellions will trade quite nicely, but the Cyclone's going down is painful. But as I say that, every Ling and Bane dies, and the reinforcements from Future are going to come in. They're going to clear more of this creep. Queen count down to just 4. Hydras are finally on the way. Those can help out quite a bit. But the Cyclones here of Future still poking and prodding, getting these lock-ons that soO really has to respect. This works a lot differently these days with Magfield not just helping out against armored units. The Hydras, I don't know if they're going to be quite as strong of a choice as you might expect, especially before they have their upgrades. They really need that range upgrade. Otherwise, the Cyclone lock-on actually outranges them. At least the Cyclone lock-on being the same range as the Hydra will allow them to get 1 or 2 shots off. Future going to dive back in here, just keeping that pressure on. He's got a 4th CC finishing up here. soO's 4th base is done, but he's still only on 63 drones. He is just desperately trying not to die. Future's on 77 SCVs. Guys, his economy is blasting above soO's right now. It is going to crush it. I say it confidently as I look at the graph, and soO's been mining more this whole time. How does that happen? If anybody can explain to me how Future can have like 10 to 15 more SCVs this whole time and be mining less, even with mules, please. Please let me know. Please help me understand. Oh, these lock-ons are just so frustrating. Banelings trying to get connections, connecting a little bit, but Future's 4th is up and running. soO has finally droned up a bit. He's up to 74 workers. He's getting into an infestation pit, really focusing on getting that tech together. Goes straight into a hive, but I was just going to say some infestors out would be crucial here. They would be beautiful. If he can get 1 or 2 fungals on this army. The Cyclones are very fragile in a fight. They need to do this stutter stepping, this pulling backwards, the lock on and the retreat. They just have to do that. They cannot win in a straight up fight. The Banelings, the Hydras will just out DPS the crap out of them. Future knows it and soO knows it, and that's what those fungals are for. More factories going down though, and it's not going to be Cyclone all day here for Future. He's starting to get into siege tanks, and this is where things can really get dangerous for soO. Yeah, the infestors are out. They don't have enough energy for a fungal just yet, but they're here. They can kind of exist and be a little bit scary for the mech units. But the tanks don't really care about that. And Future, he's going to start lifting up siege tanks and moving. Oh no, that's Hellbats. Hellbats in the medevacs. This is TVT? What are we doing here? Ling, Bane, Hydra, Infester for soO. His hive is done. He's not really utilizing it just yet, but he drops a Spire, maybe heading towards Greater Spire, which will hard counter the siege tank switch that Future is going for right now. But getting from Spire starting to Broodlords actually morph takes approximately, I think it's something like 4 to 5 game lengths worth of time. So it's going to be a while before soO actually gets those broods out. The medevacs with the Hellbats in them is so weird to me. Is he just planning to drop on the Hydras? I guess so. All right, Lingzabate's hitting on this side. Oh, a beautiful fungal on those Cyclones, and they are all going down. The Hellbats do, in fact, drop on the Hydras, but they're also going to drop on the Lingbanes, so they will just get cleaned up. The tanks get cleaned up, and that attack from Future was so cool in a way, but also soO just kind of cleans it up. Now supplies are pretty much dead even off the back of that, and Future's going to continue to be able to push here with these siege tanks moving forward. Spire's almost done. I guess it could be Mutas, but I feel like soO's not going to be able to make enough Mutas for it to be actually worth it. So Spire finishes, nothing's really happening here. soO is getting ready to go in again. The Liberator's trying to keep the tanks protected, but the tanks don't really have any friends right now, and I feel like the tanks need a couple of Hellions. Hellions are back home defending the Ling run by. A few of them are up front trying to get on top of the drones. soO's moving around the right side. The barracks is going to spot that. Is Future going to be able to defend this base? A couple of tanks siege up at a beautiful spot. And yes, soO cannot bust into that now with 2 tanks and all those Hellions there. At least not very easily. But in the meantime, his 4th base is going down. His 3rd base is under assault as that's continuing to be pushed by the siege tanks. Future is up 60 supply over soO right now, and it's looking very difficult for soO to get anything done. He is getting that Greater Spire. He is getting Corruptors. Future really needs to recognize this because he's killing so much. If he's able to tech behind this, get a few Thors out, get a few Vikings out, rather, then the Broodlords will do absolutely nothing to him. But he needs to recognize this now because he's just pushing harder and harder onto Creep. The more damage he can get done before those Broodlords get out, though, the dicier this is for soO. My God, the tank damage onto those Hydras is so terrifying. Oh, these Hydras absolutely cannot take a fight anywhere near close to these tanks. 5 Broodlords on the way. Where are they? They're right in the main here. Future is getting too much damage done, though. GG gets called. The Broods were not in time. And I don't know why this wouldn't switch to this screen, but Future takes game 1 off of soO. Wow. What a badass. That's actually wild. That is I would say that's a huge upset. So, man, Future, I feel like Future hasn't played a ton lately. Let's see. I didn't delve deeply into the history of Future to see like what he's been doing lately. Yeah, oh my God. So there's a huge gap. Well, I guess not a huge gap, but it feels like he didn't play. He hasn't played a ton this year. He's played in a few Open Cups, played in the regionals. He's had some good results, but I don't know. This feels like Future coming out of nowhere and smacking soO in game 1. I will say, he did catch him completely off guard with the battle mech. soO was scrambling for a defense, and it didn't quite work. Future was able to get way too far ahead with those early Cyclones and early Hellions and take that game 1. My scene switcher has decided to stop switching scenes. It is extremely rude of it. So I guess we're doing this manually. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Gres Van, we have the blue Terran player representing Maturino Esports, Future. And his opponent in the lower right-hand corner trying to take back this series after going down 0-1. It is soO. Yeah, I was really sad to see Beyond having to bow out of the tournament due to his wrist issues. I know he's had those. He's had wrist issues for a while. He's talked about how a lot of it, too, is kind of in his brain. That when he goes to a big tournament, a big LAN, and he's a lot of pressure on him, I think he, like, physically, the stress and the pressure, you know, it can affect your body. Stress really affects your body, and I think it makes that wrist issue flare up. He has a real wrist issue that I think flares up when he's that stressed, when he's at those big events. And, I mean, he's such a micro-focused player. It's just awful to see because Beyond is... He's an excellent player. He's such a sweetheart. And he's so charismatic. I think we all root for him. It sucks. Sucks to see it. Ooh, yeah, Father's Day. Reminder, if you're U.S.-based. Father's Day on Sunday. Remember to make the appropriate phone calls. Gift your dad some grilling equipment. Or, like, cologne. That's like a thing, isn't it? I don't know. Does anybody in chat wear cologne? I'm not really a cologne person, but I've been thinking about it lately. Maybe I want to get some cologne. I've just never been a big fan of the way any of them smell. I've also never been to Germany, so... But maybe one day. This Reaper being as annoying as possible. Not getting the creep tumor, though. It does have 2 kills. Did it kill 2 Zerglings? Wow. Damn, value Reaper. Future really been showcasing his Reaper control today. Definitely no slouch. I'm just so happy to have Future back playing in earnest.
He is a man,
studying in
but
Korea.
He's also a chicken.
MRQ. Oh my gosh. Thanks for gifting 3 months of a sub to Fear Dragon. That's so sweet. Now Fear Dragon gets to be part of the cockflock, whether he likes it or not. It's a beautiful thing about gifted subs. Yeah, units going down on both sides. The Hellions dive in, get a couple of drones. And the Lings dive in, get 5 SCVs. Actually, big damage there for soO. I think he forced to cancel on a supply depot too. Maybe he just got the kill on the supply depot. Damn. OP. MRQ, too much of a sweetie. Although gifting subs is apparently about to be illegal, since Twitch doesn't like to count them for real subs. So everybody seems to think. I'm not particularly concerned about getting a 70-30 split at the moment, though, so I really appreciate that gifted sub. Lings again sneaking in, getting some damage done. Hellions trying to get some counter damage here. You get 3 drones, maybe 4? Not quite that 4th one. Ooh, but at the same time, Liberator sieging up in the main. Queen will kill it eventually here, but it's causing a lot of lost mining time in the meantime. Yeah, slightly better trades for soO over all of this. And again, Ling's trying to sneak in and very successfully getting through. Is this not a wall? Oh, no. Yeah, it looks like this will get cleaned up. 2 SCVs going down. 3 SCVs going down, but Liberator's going back in. 4 drones going down somewhere. Oh my god, it's another Liberator. There's just Liberators everywhere. Looks like this one died to the Spore/Queen combo. This one's going to try to sneak in. Maybe he can get something done. Now there's roaches hitting. And Future doesn't have anything back at home to defend. He's trying to build a Marauder, some Marines, a Siege Tank, a cancel on the command center. SCVs forced to fight. 10 SCVs going down. as soO is running across the map with non-speed roaches while deflecting these liberators back at home. And soO up at 57 workers. He's got a lair on the way. He's droning up. Looks like he's going to take a 4th base. And he's still posturing with the roaches. He forced a cancel on that CC, which was building for like 100 years because the Lings killed the SCV, building it a couple times. He's going to take down these supply depots. There's a tank out, so that is about all soO's going to do here. But he's just trading with some Marines now. He's very happy to do this. Future's economy is not great. And there's no 3rd CC to speak of. It has not been restarted yet. And last game was a momentum win in the early game for Future with that battle mech catching soO off guard. This game has been all soO with the Ling run-bys. The Hellions just not getting the same damage those Lings did. And then the Roach follow-up, I think, really caught Future off guard. Imagine if one Liberator had stayed at home and just sieged up here instead of going across the map and getting like 3 drone kills. This would have gone so much better for Future. Imagine. It looks like Future does want to push across now. Does he have stim finished on these units? Yes, he does. They even have combat shields. So these are going to be some strong bio units. Medevacs coming out. They'll have some tank support. Future could go for a push. I really don't think that's a good idea. Looking at all the information we have here, soO is up to 78 army supply. He's got a ton of roaches on the way. He's got a good handful of Ravagers. He's just got such a strong army. I don't think Future's army can really compete with it, and there's plenty of creep spread to delay this push from Future. Oh man, Future just running onto creep. He's going to go for the big stim. The SCVs are here. They're a little bit late, though. The tanks are going to siege up, but they're already getting biled. But the biles aren't actually going to take them down. One finally dies. The SCVs are pretty much all gone. And I think the bio is not going to be far behind. These tanks are living way longer than they had any right to. But I just don't think it's enough here for Future. GG gets called. And Future's final attack, final attempt to hold on to that game falls flat. And we're going to go to game 3. Hot damn. Think of the net loss of the gifted sub. That's right. One day, maybe I'll have to worry about that. Or maybe I'll go stream somewhere else where the company actually considers creators people. JK, that platform doesn't exist. We do have a match arena for this event while we're waiting to get into game 3 here. So if you guys want to support the event in a way that doesn't cost you any money, you can use the free codes there. You could also drop some money in there if you want to support these specific players. Top 8 will get paid out. That'll go on top of the $400 prize pool. $400 is from the Patreon. So the real way to support KSL is to join the Patreon. That's the best way. We got big tournament this summer that I'm stoked on. SummerSlam. Maybe one of these players will be there. Sean Sim, why are you giving Fear Dragon good ideas for puns? That is not okay. What is okay? That we're getting into game 3. I'm actually really excited about this because both of those games were kind of wonky, and I kind of hope we get like a solid macro game for game 3 because I feel like it could go the distance. Let's see if either of these players give that to us. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, it is Matcherino Gaming's Future. Speaking of Matcherino, thanks for sponsoring every single tournament I do, Matcherino. And in the lower right-hand corner, his opponent taking that game, bringing us to match point. It is soO going pool first. Nice. I am Ravi. Is this like an I am Spartacus moment? Well, soO gonna be sending some lings around, trying to be kind of cheeky, kind of sneaky. That is 6 Zerglings. Oh my god, it's a roach warren. Oh no. Here I am like, well, we get a nice macro game. And soO is like, screw you, streamer, I'm cheesing. I'm sorry, did you order this game with extra cheese? Radical, bro. Future has no idea this is coming. He is not SCV scouting. In fact, I don't think he's SCV scouted this whole series, which would explain why soO's going for this kind of build. If you don't scout, you can get taken advantage of. I think that's a big misstep here for Future. And these lings are going to delay the CC. There is a Marine out, but 1 Marine is not enough against 6 lings. I love that soO is holding these lings back, making sure the coast is in fact clear. And maybe trying to get on top of the SCVs that come down, because I don't think this is enough to fight the 6 lings. Oh, a second Marine comes out at a crucial moment. Where is the Reaper during all this? Oh no, the Reaper died! Future's had such good Reaper control this whole game, but the Reaper is dead. Did Future get a scout on the roach warren? He did. That is crucial. He really needs to finish this command sentry. Absolutely needs to finish it before the roaches get here. The lings are mostly dead, but the roaches are on the way. They're almost here. Can he get the CC finished? It's so close. The ling coming in, trying to delay the CC, because if this CC finishes, it can lift up and it can buy some time. Future spotted that roach warren. He's got 1 bunker. He's got a cyclone on the way. I wouldn't hate to see a second bunker going down here. There's actually no wall because this barracks is positioned to get the add-on, but he's just been building Marines nonstop. CC taking a lot of damage, but I don't think he has to worry too much about it. He just needs to lift it up immediately so that the roaches and ravagers can work on something else. First lock-on going down. Ooh, he's going to try to get the Overlord, and I think he will get the Overlord. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't move the Cyclone forward, so the Overlord pulls back, but it does stay alive. Cyclone going down to the low ground, wants to try to get another lock-on to that Overlord. Instead, hits the Ravager a little bit. Second Cyclone on the way. The barracks just going to pull up and leave. It looks like Future has defended. soO obviously not committing super hard to this, just 2 roaches and 2 Ravagers. It is very expensive in the early game. But he's been droning behind it. He's got ling speed on the way. Mag Field Accelerator started up for Future as he already has a second factory. Damn. I don't know why, but I assumed that was going to be a starport. He never assumed. He never assume? Yeah? That was like a joke. That was close. The Future going right back into Battle Mech. I mean, it worked so great in game 1. Why not try it again? The floating barracks, I don't know if I like this because it's going to really show soO exactly what's up, right? See the Cyclone, you see the floating barracks, you're like, well, I have a feeling I know what's happening here. This time, though, soO already has a Roach Warren, so if he wants to go for like a Ling Roach Ravager, I think that might work a lot better than the like Ling Bane Hydra he kind of forced himself into in game 1. But I think that was not what he wanted to do, it was just kind of what he had to do. That being said, Roaches and Ravagers, not always the best against Cyclones, but since the Cyclones do significantly less to armored units than they used to with Magfield, I think it's a pretty reasonable response. A lot of Lings here as well, so Future's really going to have to get the Hellion count up, and by up, I mean not 0. Whew. All right. It is worth noting, though, that Cyclones with Magfield do bonus to light, so they kill Lings much faster, too. The lock-ons are just so inefficient against Lings either way. I actually don't know if it changes how quickly they kill Lings. Future getting Blue Flame now. He needs to start getting some Hellions out. He's going to get 1 out before this reactor finishes. Really focused on that Cyclone production. soO just posturing outside here. The nice thing for soO is that he's making sure Future's staying at home. Future's continually just producing units, which means his production's not really increasing. He is taking this third base, though, so is soO going to try to jump on this? Can he? Does he have enough? It feels like the answer is kind of no. As more Cyclones pop out, Magfield is done. Hellions are going to start to come out 2 at a time. If soO had a window, it's pretty much closed at this point for this army. And I think he's realized that as well. His third base is up and running. He's on full saturation, basically. He will be momentarily. He's got roach speed and +1 on the way, as well as the infestation pit. I think we will see those infestors coming out. I think this is going to be a much better game than game 1, and I am really excited that despite the early cheese out of soO, we are getting that macro game I asked for. soO tried to take it from me, but Future has played too many games on the North American ladder. He has hit Mio-Micah too many times and is feeling quite comfortable against those early pools, early Roach Warrens. Held it off very nicely. Oh no, soO getting caught a little bit off guard here. Only loses 1 Ravage though. Future playing kind of delicately, doesn't want to overcommit himself. Oh my god, I can't believe he just ran up to this high ground. Ooh, gonna get caught a little bit here. Blue Flame Hellions though, very good against these Zerglings. And the Zerglings are gonna kill a couple of the Hellions, maybe a couple of Cyclones there. No, just the Hellions. Cyclones all get away, which is crucial. Those Cyclones are much more expensive. They take a lot longer to build. You can only build like 2 or I guess 3 at a time. Whereas if you ran out of Hellions, you could feasibly, as Future, build 7 at once. So a little bit easier to replace those guys if you need to. And this is what Future was waiting for. He wanted to start getting lock-ons to those roaches because the roaches can't really get away. They're most likely going to die. But as the infestors are out now, they do have enough energy for a fungal. And that could pose a real problem for Future. soO's army is a lot better than it was in game 1 when those infestors came out. Future is not nearly as far ahead. And this time soO is much more ready to transition to the Greater Spire, to those Broodlords. The Spire and Hive building at the same time as you'd want them to. And that's going to mean those Broodlords hit a lot sooner. They're going to hit Future a lot harder. But that being said, the lack of like Ling Main here or anything to explode on top of those Cyclones, it does make it a lot harder for soO to clear that ground army. Last game there was like 1 engagement, 2 good fungals, and Lings and Banes just killed the battle mech, and it was really just the tanks left over at that point, which the Broodlords could clean up. But this game, soO doesn't really have that ability to just clear this part of the army. The Broodlords, he's really counting on them. But if the Cyclones are able to get lock-ons to those Broodlords, that could be very dangerous as well. Also, if Future recognizes that Broodlords are going to be the answer for soO, he can start pumping out those Thors. He could drop a couple of Starports and go for Viking production, but he hasn't clocked it yet. And, I mean, he needs to recognize this like a couple minutes ago. Because the Corruptors are almost out, the Greater Spire is almost done, and I think soO is just going to push as soon as he has Broodlords. The Cyclones trading very nicely here for Future, but they're really just not doing much. Future is going to finally push out, though, onto the map, clearing some creep, bringing his tanks with him. This could be very, very dangerous for soO if those Broodlords aren't ready. They are not quite ready yet. They've just started. Future might be able to get some damage done before those broods are ready, but I love this. soO is just trying to buy time. He's going to fungal the front of this army as it shows up. He's dropping vials, trying to delay this push. This already very slow push from Future. Oh, beautiful fungal and a couple of nice vials. soO just buying that time, and all of a sudden, there's like 12 Broodlords on the map. 9 right now, still another one morphing. And, oh man, Future realizes, I've made a mistake. I've made a miscalculation. He just doesn't have anything that's anti-Broodlord. And the Broods will just push this back all the way to the corner. There are a few units on the left side. Future could try to dive through, but There's so much creep spread here. soO would have the warning of a lifetime. Thors are on the way, 5 of them being made at a time. Future is just trying to trade as well as he can with the ground army, pull this Broodlord army all the way to the corner. And yes, the Broods can start sieging up this base, but by then we will have some Thors out. 2 starports being made. Future is scrambling for a defense. Oh no, and these tanks have been caught by the Roaches. They're going to siege up. I think if the Roaches just A-move, they'll just win this. Yeah, they just crushed through that. Broodlord's going to force a cancel on this base. Planetary here will hold for a little bit, but this side needs to focus on the Roach Ravager defense. But there's no tanks left because Future was trying to counterattack with them. If he just has those tanks sieged up here, he's in a totally fine spot right now, I think, to send those Thors over to deal with the Broods. But now the Thors have to deal with the Roaches, which they're not particularly good at. And the Broodlords are starting to kill this Planetary. The SCV's trying to repair, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Guys, it looks like soO is about to crack through Future, killing 26 SCVs, biling down these Thors. And while Battle Mech worked so well for Future in Game 1, soO was much more prepared for it in Game 3. And off the back of that Roach cheese at the start, it looks like he's going to be able to take this one. Future desperately holding on, but his supply is dwindling. Look at the GG. soO takes the 2-1 victory.